Bullies target the new girl. Big mistake. She's an undefeated boxing champion. Jasmine Carter stood at the entrance of Westridge High School, clutching her backpack straps until her knuckles whitened beneath her dark skin. At 15, she was used to being the new kid. Her mother's job had moved them 5 times in the last 3 years, but that didn't make the first day any easier. She tugged self-consciously at her braided hair, wishing she could disappear into the crowd of unfamiliar faces. She wasn't particularly tall for her age, just 5'4", and her slightly rounded figure made her feel even more self-conscious in a school full of strangers. The purple-framed glasses perched on her nose completed what she feared was the perfect target image. Jasmine took a deep breath and stepped through the doors, keeping her head down as she navigated the bustling hallway. What no one at Westridge knew, what no one could possibly guess by looking at the quiet, unassuming new girl, was that Jasmine Carter was the 3-time junior boxing champion back in Atlanta. Training since she was 8 years old in her grandfather's gym, she had developed skills that had taken her to national competitions, but her mother had insisted they keep a low profile in their new town. A fresh start, she'd said. Maybe focus on academics for a while. So Jasmine had reluctantly agreed to put her boxing career on pause, at least until they settled in. Now making her way to the administrative office to pick up her schedule, she worked hard to seem like any other ordinary, unremarkable teenage girl. Watch it. The sharp voice cut through Jasmine's thoughts as she accidentally bumped shoulders with a tall, athletic-looking girl with straight blonde hair. Sorry, Jasmine mumbled, stepping back. The girl, clearly someone of importance based on how the nearby students reacted, looked Jasmine up and down with evident disdain. You must be new, she said, her voice dripping with condescension. Yes, Jasmine replied quietly. Just moved here. I'm Madison, the girl said, though her tone suggested Jasmine should already know this. Madison Warner. My dad's on the school board. She glanced at the 2 girls flanking her, one with copper-red hair and freckles, the other with a sleek dark ponytail. This is Amber and Tiffany. Neither girl offered any greeting beyond thin-lipped smiles. Jasmine, she offered in return, then tried to step around them. Madison moved slightly, blocking her path. Well, Jasmine, word of advice, Westridge has standards. Try to keep up. Her eyes lingered judgmentally on Jasmine's simple jeans and sweatshirt before she turned away with a dismissive laugh, her friends following in perfect sync. Jasmine felt her cheeks burn as nearby students pretended not to stare. She took a deep breath, unclenching the fists she hadn't realized she'd formed. Just ignore them, she told herself. You're here to study, not make waves. The first few classes went by in a blur of new faces and syllabi. Jasmine kept to herself, answering only when directly called upon by teachers. During third period English, she noticed Madison and Amber sitting toward the back, occasionally glancing her way and whispering behind their hands. Jasmine focused on her notebook, the familiar burning sensation returning to her cheeks. By lunchtime, she felt exhausted from the constant tension of navigating a new environment. The cafeteria was a maze of unspoken social rules and established cliques. Jasmine bought her lunch and searched for an empty table, acutely aware of the many eyes tracking her movement. She spotted a relatively empty table near the windows and made her way toward it. Just as she was about to set her tray down, a foot appeared in her path. Jasmine saw it too late. She stumbled, her tray tipping forward, sending her chocolate milk and pasta salad cascading down the front of her sweatshirt. The cafeteria erupted in laughter. Jasmine stood frozen, dripping with food, as Madison pulled her extended foot back. Under the table with mock innocence. Oops, Madison said, her face a picture of false concern. You should really watch where you're going. Jasmine felt something fierce and hot rise within her, a familiar feeling from the boxing ring when an opponent landed a cheap shot. Her hands trembled slightly as she set down what remained on her tray. You did that on purpose, she said quietly. Prove. Hit, Madison challenged, her eyes glittering with malice. For a brief moment, Jasmine imagined how easy it would be to show Madison exactly who she was messing with, a clean right hook that would wipe that smirk off her face. The thought passed as quickly as it came. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind. We need this fresh start, Jazz, no trouble. Instead, Jasmine grabbed a handful of napkins from a nearby dispenser and walked away, the laughter following her out of the cafeteria. In the bathroom, she did her best to clean her sweatshirt, blinking back tears of frustration. Don't let them see you cry, she whispered to her reflection. That's what they want. The rest of the day wasn't much better. In gym class, Jasmine found herself in the same group as Tiffany, who made a point of accidentally hitting her with a volleyball multiple times. When they were assigned lab partners in chemistry, Amber loudly complained about being stuck with the new charity case. By the final bell, Jasmine was mentally exhausted. She hurried to her locker, hoping to grab her things and leave before encountering Madison or her friends again. No such luck. "Hey, new girl," Madison called, approaching with Amber and Tiffany. A small crowd of onlookers gathered, sensing entertainment. "How was your first day? Make any friends?" Her tone made it clear she already knew the answer. "I'm just trying to get home," Jasmine said, closing her locker. "What's the rush?" Madison stepped closer, invading Jasmine's personal space. "We're just getting to know each other." "I don't want any trouble," Jasmine said evenly. Madison's eyes narrowed. "Trouble found you the moment you walked in here looking like that." She gestured vaguely at Jasmine's appearance. "This is our school. You don't fit in." "I don't need to fit in," Jasmine replied, surprising herself with the steadiness in her voice. "I just need to get my education." "Oh, listen to that," Amber mocked. "She needs her education. Isn't that adorable?" Madison reached out and flicked one of Jasmine's braids. "Nice hair. Did your mummy do that for you?" Jasmine stepped back, her heart pounding. She could feel the familiar pre-fight adrenaline coursing through her veins, but she swallowed it down. "Not here. Not now. Just leave me alone," she said, turning to walk away. "Or what?" Madison called after her. "What are you going to do about it?" "More than you could possibly imagine," Jasmine thought as she pushed through the school doors into the afternoon sunlight. That evening, Jasmine didn't tell her mother about the bullying. Mariana Carter worked long hours as a hospital administrator to provide for them, and Jasmine didn't want to add to her stress. Instead, she retreated to the garage of their modest rental home, where she'd set up a makeshift training space with a heavy bag her grandfather had given her before they moved. Strapping on her hand wraps, Jasmine faced the bag, letting the memories of the day fuel her movements. Each jab represented Madison's smug face. Each cross was for Amber's snide comments. Each hook answered Tiffany's feigned innocence. For 30 minutes, she lost herself in the rhythm of the workout, her body remembering what her mind was trying to suppress. "You're hitting pretty hard tonight," her mother's voice came from the garage doorway. "Bad day?" Jasmine stopped, breathing heavily. "Just the usual new school stuff," she said, unwilling to elaborate. Mariana Carter studied her daughter's face. "You know you can talk to me, right? About anything?" "I know, Mom," Jasmine assured her. "I'm fine, really." Her mother didn't look convinced but didn't press the issue. "Dinner in 30 minutes, and don't forget to ice your hands." Alone again, Jasmine rested her forehead against the heavy bag. "I promise to keep a low profile," she reminded herself. "I can handle this without causing trouble." The next day at school, Jasmine tried a new strategy: complete invisibility. She arrived early to avoid the morning rush, chose seats near the back of classrooms, and planned to eat lunch in the library. But Madison and her friends seemed determined not to let her fade into the background. In history class, someone flicked small paper balls at the back of Jasmine's head whenever the teacher turned to write on the board. In the hallway between classes, she found her path repeatedly blocked by accidental collisions with Madison's crew. By midday, the message was clear: there would be no peaceful coexistence at Westridge High. Jasmine was heading to the library for lunch when Tiffany intercepted her, all fake smiles. "Hey, Jasmine, Madison wants to talk to you behind the gym. She said it's important." Every instinct told Jasmine this was a trap, but the direct confrontation might be preferable to the constant harassment. "Fine," she said, changing direction. The area behind the gym was secluded, out of sight from the main building, and typically unused during lunch hour. Madison was waiting with Amber and 3 other girls Jasmine didn't recognize. Jasmine immediately regretted her decision. "Look who decided to join us," Madison said, her voice sickly sweet. "Our new friend wanted to hang out." "What do you want, Madison?" Jasmine asked, keeping her distance and automatically assessing the situation as she'd been taught. 6 opponents, limited escape routes, uneven terrain. "I just wanted to make something clear," Madison replied, dropping the pretense of friendliness. "This is my school. I decide who fits in and who doesn't. And you? You definitely don't. I got that message yesterday," Jasmine said. "Is there anything else?" Madison's eyes flashed with anger at Jasmine's calm response. "Yeah, there's something else. I want you to understand exactly where you stand." She nodded to the others, who spread out in a loose semicircle. Jasmine took a step back, her hands instinctively rising slightly. 6 against 1? Is that how you handle all your problems? "Look at that," Amber laughed. "She can count." Madison stepped forward. "Consider this your official Westridge welcome." She reached out to shove Jasmine's shoulder. Time seemed to slow down as Jasmine made a split-second decision. She could take the abuse and hope it eventually stopped, or she could show them exactly who they were messing with. Her grandfather's voice echoed in her mind. Boxing isn't about fighting, Jazz. It's about protecting yourself when there's no other choice. She sidestepped Madison's shove with practiced ease, her body moving on instinct. The motion was so smooth and unexpected that Madison stumbled forward, off balance. "What the—" Madison started, but Jasmine had already reset her stance, feet shoulder-width apart, weight evenly distributed, a posture any boxing coach would recognize immediately. "I don't want to fight," Jasmine said clearly, loud enough for all to hear, "but I will defend myself if I have to." Something in her voice, the absolute certainty perhaps, made Madison hesitate. Her eyes narrowed as she reassessed the quiet new girl who suddenly didn't seem so vulnerable. "Defend yourself?" Madison scoffed, though her confidence sounded forced. "Against what? We're just talking." "No," Jasmine replied evenly. "You were about to get physical. I'm giving you a chance to walk away." Madison's face flushed with anger and embarrassment. "Who do you think you are?" she demanded, stepping forward. Again. This time, when she reached out to grab Jasmine's shirt, Jasmine didn't move away. Instead, she caught Madison's wrist in a firm grip. Not enough to hurt, but enough to immobilize. "I'm someone you don't want to mess with," Jasmine said quietly. "Last warning." For a moment, fear flickered across Madison's face, but it was quickly replaced by fury. She yanked her arm free and swung wildly at Jasmine's face. Years of training took over. Jasmine slipped the punch effortlessly, her upper body rotating just enough for Madison's fist to pass harmlessly by her cheek. Before Madison could recover, Jasmine had taken a step back, hands still raised defensively. "Stop now," Jasmine said. "You can't win this." Madison's face contorted with rage and humiliation. "Get her," she shouted to the others. Amber and Tiffany moved forward uncertainly, while the other three girls hung back, clearly not having signed up for an actual fight. Jasmine kept her breathing steady, her eyes tracking multiple opponents, just as she'd practiced countless times in sparring sessions. When Amber lunged forward, Jasmine used the girl's momentum against her, a simple redirection that sent her stumbling, past and into the wall of the gym with a surprised yelp. Tiffany was more cautious, circling to Jasmine's left while Madison recovered her balance on the right. 2-on-1 now, Jasmine noted calmly. "Better odds for me." Madison and Tiffany exchanged glances, communicating some silent plan. They moved, in simultaneously from different angles. Jasmine had trained for this exact scenario. She pivoted toward Tiffany, the less committed attacker, forcing Madison to adjust her approach. As Tiffany threw a hesitant punch, Jasmine blocked it with her forearm and gave the girl a light push that sent her backward onto the grass. In the same fluid motion, she turned to face Madison, who was now rushing in with both hands extended. This time Jasmine didn't hold back. She stepped into Madison's charge, slipping inside her reach, and delivered a controlled but firm strike to Madison's midsection, a textbook body shot that instantly drove the air from the bully's lungs. Madison folded, gasping, her knees hitting the ground as she clutched her stomach. The schoolyard fell silent except for her wheezing attempts to breathe. "That," Jasmine said, still in her fighting stance, "was a pull punch at about 30%. Want to see what 60 looks like?" No one moved, even Amber, who had recovered from her collision with the wall, stayed frozen in place, eyes wide with shock. Jasmine looked around at each girl in turn. "I've spent 7 years training as a competitive boxer. I have a 15-0 record in junior competitions. I was trying to keep that quiet because I just wanted a normal high school experience." She lowered her hands slowly, "But I won't be anyone's punching bag." Madison had managed to catch her breath, though she remained on her knees, looking up at Jasmine with a mixture of humiliation and disbelief. "You're lying," she wheezed. In response, Jasmine pulled out her phone, quickly found a video from her last championship bout, and held it up for everyone to see. The screen showed her in the ring, landing a devastating combination that sent her opponent to the canvas. "That's me," she said simply. 6 months ago in Atlanta, junior division champion." The video finished and Jasmine pocketed her phone. "I didn't want trouble, I still don't. But now you know what happens if you keep pushing me." She turned to walk away, then paused, looking back at Madison, who was slowly getting to her feet, with Tiffany's help. "Ice that," Jasmine advised, "and take deep breaths. The pain will pass in a few minutes." As Jasmine walked back toward the main building, she was aware of whispers already spreading among the small group of students who had witnessed the confrontation from a distance. By the end of lunch period, she knew the story would be all over Westridge High. So much for keeping a low profile. Sure enough, throughout her afternoon classes, Jasmine noticed the changed atmosphere. Students who had previously ignored her existence now stared openly or whispered as she passed. Some looked fearful, others curious, and a few, particularly those who had also been on the receiving end of Madison's bullying, regarded her with something like respect. No one approached her directly until the end of the day, when a tall boy with glasses fell into step beside her in the hallway. "Is it true?" he asked without preamble. "Did you really take down Madison and her whole crew?" Jasmine sighed. "It wasn't like that. I defended myself, that's all." "That's not how the story's being told," the boy said with a slight smile. "According to most versions, you're either a ninja assassin or a secret UFC fighter." Despite herself, Jasmine laughed. "And who are you?" "Marcus," he replied, "fellow recipient of Madison's welcoming committee last year." He gestured to himself. Apparently being black and interested in robotics was enough to make me a target. Jasmine felt herself relax slightly. "I'm Jasmine, and for the record, I'm a boxer, not a ninja." "Honestly, that's even cooler." Marcus glanced over his shoulder, then lowered his voice. "Just so you know, Madison's dad is on the school board. She might try to get you in trouble." "I thought of that," Jasmine admitted. "But there were witnesses who saw them surround me. I only defended myself." As they reached the front doors, Jasmine spotted Madison, Amber, and Tiffany huddled near the administration office, Madison gesturing animatedly. As she spoke to a middle-aged man in a suit, presumably her father. "Looks like the complaints are already starting," Marcus observed. "Let them complain," Jasmine said with more confidence than she felt. "Truth is on my side." As predicted, Jasmine was called into the principal's office the following morning. Principal Brennan, a stern-looking woman with salt and pepper hair, studied her over the rim of her glasses. "Miss Carter, I've received a very serious complaint about you threatening and assaulting several students yesterday. Care to explain?" Jasmine sat straight in her chair. "I was lured behind the gym by 6 girls who intended to hurt me. I defended myself using my boxing training, but I didn't assault anyone. I used minimal force to protect myself." "Boxing training?" Principal Brennan repeated, sounding skeptical. "Yes, ma'am. I was the junior division champion in Atlanta for 3 years running." Jasmine met the principal's gaze steadily. "Madison, Warner and her friends have been bullying me since I arrived. Yesterday they tried to take it to a physical level. I prevented that." Principal Brennan's expression remained neutral. "Mr. Warner is quite insistent that his daughter was the victim." "Here, there were other students who saw what happened," Jasmine replied, "and I'd be happy to show you the bruise on my wrist where Madison grabbed me first." The principal studied her for a long moment. "Miss Carter, while I appreciate your forthright manner, physical altercations of any kind are against school policy." "I understand that," Jasmine said, "but so is bullying. I reported no one because I was trying to handle it myself, but that doesn't mean it wasn't happening." A knock at the office door interrupted them. Principal Brennan's secretary poked her head in. "Sorry to interrupt, but we have several students insisting on speaking with you about yesterday's incident." To Jasmine's surprise, Marcus entered, followed by 4 other students she didn't recognize. One by one, they described witnessing Madison's ongoing harassment and the confrontation behind the gym, confirming Jasmine's account. A girl with thick glasses and a quiet voice spoke last. "Madison's been bullying people for years, and teachers just look the other way because of her dad. Jasmine's the only one who ever stood up to her." Principal Brennan listened without comment, her expression unreadable. When the last student finished, she thanked them and asked them to wait outside. Once they were alone again, she turned to Jasmine. "It seems you've made quite an impression in just 2 days." "I didn't mean to," Jasmine said honestly. "I just wanted to be left alone." The principal nodded thoughtfully. "Miss Carter, I cannot condone physical confrontations among my students, regardless of the circumstances." She held up a hand as Jasmine started to protest. "However, I also cannot ignore multiple corroborating accounts of bullying. I'll be speaking with Madison and her friends separately, and their parents will be notified." She paused, studying Jasmine with new interest. "I understand you're a boxer." "Yes, ma'am. Our physical education department has been looking to expand its offerings. Perhaps your skills could be put to more constructive use. We've been considering a self-defense elective." Jasmine blinked in surprise. "You want me to help teach self-defense?" "Under proper supervision, of course," Principal Brennan clarified. "It would be a more appropriate channel for your abilities than schoolyard altercations, don't you think?" For the first time since arriving at Westridge, Jasmine felt a genuine smile spread across her face. "Yes, ma'am. I think that would be perfect." The aftermath of what became known as the gym showdown transformed Jasmine's experience at Westridge High. Madison and her friends received 2 weeks of detention for bullying, and while Madison's father had indeed threatened to make trouble, the multiple witness accounts made his position untenable. Madison herself stayed far away from Jasmine, her confidence visibly diminished. Over time, The outright hostility faded to grudging avoidance. Amber eventually approached Jasmine to apologize, admitting she'd only gone along with Madison out of fear of becoming a target herself. As for Jasmine, she found herself with an unexpected new circle of friends, fellow students who had lived in Madison's shadow and now looked to her with admiration. Marcus introduced her to the robotics club, where she discovered an interest in engineering that complemented her athletic abilities. With Principal Brennan's backing, she began helping the PE teacher develop a twice-weekly self-defense workshop that quickly became one of the school's most popular electives. One afternoon, about a month after the showdown, Jasmine was demonstrating basic blocking techniques to a group of freshman girls when she noticed Madison hovering at the edge of the gym, watching. After class, as the other students dispersed, Madison approached hesitantly. "Can I help you?" Jasmine asked, her tone neutral. Madison looked uncomfortable, her usual confidence nowhere in sight. "Is it too late to sign up?" she asked, gesturing toward the self-defense equipment. Jasmine studied her former bully's face, searching for signs of a trap or trick. Finding none, she shrugged. "Class is open to anyone, Tuesdays and Thursdays 3:30. Madison nodded, then seemed to struggle with something before finally speaking again. "I've been taking martial arts since I was 6, she admitted. "My dad made me. But I never took it seriously. It was just something to put on college applications." She met Jasmine's eyes briefly before looking away. "The way you fought, yet you meant it. You believed in what you were doing." Jasmine considered this unexpected confession. "Boxing saved me," she said simply. "When we moved around all the time, it was the one constant. It taught me discipline, respect, and how to stand my ground without becoming a bully myself." Madison absorbed this, then nodded again. "I'll see you Tuesday then," she said, turning to leave. "Madison," Jasmine called after her. The blonde girl paused. "Everyone deserves a second chance, even you." Her ghost of a smile flickered across Madison's face before she walked away. That evening, as Jasmine wrapped her hands for her training session, her mother leaned against the garage door frame, watching her with evident pride. "Principal Brennan called me today," Mariana said. "She says you're becoming quite the leader at school." Jasmine smiled, testing the wrap's tightness. "I found a way to be myself without causing trouble, just like you wanted." Her mother crossed the garage to kiss the top of her head. "That's not what I wanted," she corrected gently. "What I wanted was for you to find your place, your way of making a difference." "Looks like you have." Jasmine thought about the unlikely community she was building at Westridge. Former victims and bullies learning side by side, discovering their own strength under her guidance. It wasn't what she had expected when she reluctantly agreed to put her boxing career on pause, but somehow it felt right. "Yeah," she agreed, turning to face the heavy bag with renewed purpose. "I think I have." As she threw the first punch of her workout, Jasmine realized that the real victory wasn't in that moment behind the gym when she'd stood up to Madison. It was in everything that came after. The respect she'd earned not through fear but through leadership, the strength she'd demonstrated not just with her fists, but with her character, and the community she was helping to build one lesson at a time. It turned out that sometimes finding your place meant creating it yourself,